everybody. It's Georgia Rose. Welcome. Monday at 7 o'clock. I hope you're all doing really awesome. I'm just going to take a minute. I have to actually reset my monitor because I don't have my internet in here. I'll tell you the story. I think I told you last week. I had to send my iPad out because it got wet. And luckily, I have Apple Care, which I'm going to tell you, if you guys don't have, you should absolutely have, because they actually send you back a computer like in a matter of days. Like I sent out my iPad last Friday. I already had a new one in my mailbox Tuesday morning. Really awesome. So I want to share the show, but I can't get online anyway. So I'm actually going to ask Bobby to come in here and take my iPad to set up my the password for Strong Island. And that way I can see your comments and everything. Can you tell people that April 21st, Mercury's going retrograde in Taurus? I think you can just tell from what just happened. So tonight we're going to talk a little astrology, very little, because last week I donated the whole show to astrology. And it was all about the eclipse that's coming in this week on the 20th. We have Aries, new moon, and eclipse. And man, oh man, you guys are going to feel that coming in, and it's coming in hot. So here, Bobby fixed me up right away. You got to love that guy. I'm telling you. We were actually talking and on a minute late because we were talking strategy about getting you guys to watch my show. Can you comply, people? So, okay, so I'm going to share away here. Very good. I already got some comments. So I guess you guys found me, even though I couldn't find myself. I was a little lost, Mercury in retrograde today. Okay. So share the show if you will. I'd really love you for that. And also, after we talk a little bit about astrology, I'm going to give you guys tips on tarot and reading tarot tonight. So that's going to be a really awesome show. So I hope you are out there. Hope you're sharing that show with everybody and learning some stuff while we go. Here we are. Boom. Okay. So first, I'm going to do a little astrology. As I said, don't want to spend the whole show on that. Did that last week. Didn't even get to cards. So big news right now this week is the eclipse and the new moon in Aries. If you look at last week's show, you can find that on all of my media. You can find that on my Zenkuda Soul Space page. You can find it on the YouTube channel Zenkuda. You can find it on Strong Island. If you go on last week's show, you can even ask Alexa, please play Georgia Rose in the Soul Space, and she'll play last week's show for you. That is all about the eclipse and the new moon energy coming in. And you guys super really want to make sure that you are watching that, because that's going to give you all the information you need on that. Now, 2 days after that eclipse comes in, we've got Mercury going retrograde. And this time Mercury is going retrograde in Taurus. And what does that mean? It's going to be a lot of our stability questioned, things that are stable in our life, or the systems and structures that we use in order to be more stable are probably going to be a little challenged. More than likely, you'll have glitches if you're traveling. And I have 2 siblings this week that are traveling out of the country. So I have to tell you that that is making me a little nervous for them, because usually you get real delays in the airlines and things like that with a Mercury retrograde, and computer issues like I just had. So Mercury is going to be retrograde in Taurus until May 14th. So it's a long retrograde. But what I will tell you is this is a lot about untruths too. During this Mercury retrograde, you're going to see a lot of things that are untrue coming out, and we won't be able to speak our truth so eloquently until after the 14th of May. So look for themes about truth and stability while we have that Mercury retrograde. And of course, the sun is in Taurus as well. So, that doesn't exactly make it great. So whatever's going on with you right now, where you're feeling like you need to make a breakthrough, you're trying to change something, you're trying to get something to really work better, or make something more efficient, or really get a project launch, you're probably not going to see that come to fruition until after June, because that's when Mercury and Uranus meet, and that's going to give you that explosion of idea. The reason why it feels a little bit like you're just out of reach with it now is because Mercury and Uranus are almost conjunct. They're not quite making a conjunction, which is when they meet in the sky. And then Mercury starts to move a little bit backwards and slower as a retrograde. So they're kind of missing each other. So that's why the breakthrough you're looking for, which is what that alignment has and causes, and that's the energy of Uranus with Mercury alignment. When they just miss each other now this week, we're not going to actually see them get together until June. So we're going to have a little bit of, kind of the dream escaping us. It's just out of our reach. We keep almost getting there and we can't quite get there. So you're going to see some of that going on until June. Um, and so the pressure that we have had to deal with so much lately in our lives, with so many changes in all of our structures and the places in our lives that have really been an upheaval, even out in the world and the globe, the political things, the warlike things in certain areas, all of the derision that we're seeing. What happens now this week is all that kind of becomes, as the planets now starting to shift out of Aries, which is that fast pace, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God energy. Now, as the planets shift more into Taurus, what we're going to see happen is now we get to a place where we're like, the oh my God, oh my God, oh my God is over. And now we realize this is just where we are. And this is what we have to deal with. So watch for those signs and those sensations that are really going to have you guys understanding now we are in the future and this is what it looks like, and we're going to start keeping changes and keeping moving forward. But now we feel like, oh, we're here, this is what it looks like, this is what I have to deal with. And we're firmly implanted with that Taurus stability, the bull. We're firmly implanted in that energy of, I see what this is. I'm in it now. It's not, oh my God, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. It's okay. I get it. I'm going to deal with the present right now and do the best I can and use my own resources to do that. So when you start to feel those sensations, make sure that you are embodying that in the decisions that you make and the choices you make, because we're at a really big pinnacle of our lifetime right now for all of us on this planet, where the decisions that we make now are going to really be extremely important in the next many years of our life. And April is a month where there's no going back. This is the pinnacle of the change. And now, after we get through April, we're going to be in it. That's the present. We're in the present. We're not thinking about, oh my God, what happened in the future? How can I change this? What can I do? Now we're working very methodically with the present after this month. So you really want to make sure the decisions that you make this month, in the last 2 weeks, last week of this month, are things that are really right for you and authentic in your soul. Couple of things I want to talk about today. First of all, we're going to talk about tarot and the tarot cards. I'm going to give you guys some tips on how you can, be reading tarot, and how you can, tips that you can use. Hi, everybody. I'll say hi now. Renee's on. Hey, Renee, Janine, Anne, Margaret, Michelle. Welcome, everybody. Christine, Sarah. So I'm going to go into some tarot tips, but other than that, we're going to devote the show to tarot, and I'll pull some cards for whoever's on in the comments. Want to give you guys some ideas of how tarot works, but also want to talk about protection. And it's apropos for reading tarot, but it's also just on a daily basis. I think it's really important right now, as we go out into the world, to have some kind of a ritual or um, devotion that we do so that we can be protected when we're out there in the world. I think it's very important. I've been getting a lot of spiritual inspiration and intuition about that. So there's a couple of different ways that you can protect yourself before you leave the house in the morning, or whenever you go to work or do about your errands or whatever you do. You can have an affirmation that you send, to yourself in order for protection. You can call out to an angel or a divine light of some kind, or you can call out to some kind of higher power that you believe in. If you're religious and that's some kind of, devotional that you do with maybe the Blessed Mother or Jesus or a saint or someone, you can do that. And what I would say is, before you leave the house, we also can have some items. Like, this cross is very much a talisman for me. I used to have a talisman that I wore that was an family heirloom that I wore for many years, which was a religious medal that both my grandfathers had wore to war. My father and my grandfather had worn to war and come back safely with wearing that medal. It was a religious medal. I now wear this as a talisman. It holds the energy of my triumph in life. It could be something like that. It could be, a Star of David. It could be anything that you feel is religious or holds energy that you want to have with you when you leave your sanctuary. I wear certain bracelets, some of which have been gifted to me and some of which I purchased myself. One of which is, protection. I very much am working with lava since I'm in my yoga teacher training because I am dredging up things from the earth and transmuting them into other energy. I have mala beads, which I wear, which carry volcano lava in them for the same reason. So sometimes we can use items that hold an energy that we want to take with us wherever we go for certain periods of time. If you're in loss or grieving, you may have a certain thing that you wear that brings you to a higher energy, etc. Whatever your choice is, it's very simple. You can just, before you leave the house, center yourself. Um, some people use essential oils, certain scents to bring them to a centeredness. And just take a few minutes to be reverent to whatever higher power you use in your life, you feel surrounded by, God, creator, whatever you call a higher power in your life. And take a few moments to bring that energy in, maybe feeling it right in your heart space, feeling love and reverence for that energy, and then feeling love and reverence for all in the world and sending it out so that you're asking for protection. I know some people are online saying that you should protect yourself and say rituals that anyone who wants to harm me or send negative energy to me, let it go right back to them. I would never do that in a billion years. I would never send negative energy to anyone on the planet. I only send love to all. So if someone has an ill intention, my belief is that we conquer that with love, and we send love to that person. We surround them with so much love that their negativity dissolves and is transmuted to a higher power, and they don't no longer want or have that negative thought. So protect yourself in a way with love. And a lot of times people will call in to me or message me or call me or text me, whatever, and ask me, how do I protect myself? I feel like there's negative energy around me. And my answer is always the same, and it's always going to be the same. And it's very, very simple. You don't need to buy anything. You don't need to sage. You don't need to do all those things. If you want to, and those things make you feel safe, by all means do that. But all you really have to do is call in your higher power, call in angelic essence, and spread it around like pixie dust and just say, please just bathe me and my home in love. Please do not let anything enter here that is not of the light. I say that prayer every night when my head hits the pillow. You can't get a better protection than that. Archangel Michael stands in my room guard every evening. I call him in. Um, so that's the way you protect yourself. But I implore you all, please, before you go out in the world, especially now until the end of April into May, please protect yourselves in some way or some spiritual ritual when you do leave the house. It's important to do. It shows devotion and belief and faith and trust in your higher power. And it also surrounds you in beautiful light and raises your vibration so that when you go out in the world, you're spreading that vibration among everyone. And there's no better way to rid yourself of negativity than to just raise the vibration. Please don't ever send anyone's negative energy back at them. You just created really poor karma for yourself. All right. So that's my little spiel about protection. And if you all have something that you do to protect yourself, put it in the comments, and we'll talk a little bit about that tonight as we're playing with our cards. Um, so the Blessed Mother for Michelle, yeah, very powerful energy. Marie says she always wears a red ribbon for protection in her space. Yeah, I think all those things. I used to keep a little red ribbon. It's very feng shui in the top drawer of my desk when I worked in an office full time. So you want to do those things, whatever feels right for you. And you'll know when it feels right. You'll know when you have done something that, oh, it feels different in here. Or it feels, right. Saging is a very big ritual. I don't know. I used to be a big sager. Certainly it works for a lot of people, and I would never say don't do it. But I think love raises the vibration in our world much higher than any material thing that we could use. But I like to use Palo Santo a lot. I do use that because it has a very high vibration. So getting to the tarot now, let's switch gears. You all good with that? You all want to talk about some tarot? I certainly did tonight. So I wanted to do this show a little bit about tarot and the tips because I know that our on the Zenkuda Soul Space, a lot of times we really do cards, and you all love to have card pulls. And I'm wondering if you have any inkling into how that works for me. So I'm going to talk a little bit in general about the tarot cards, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about how I personally read, so that you guys, if you have a practice that you're trying to do and you're out there trying to perfect things, or you want to be able to use things, this will help you. So first thing, when you get a deck of tarot cards, the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to take those cards, and I'm going to talk about tarot first, and then I'm going to talk about Oracle decks, because you guys know I created an Oracle deck that is for sale online at senkuda.com, and those are Circle of Light cards. So when you first get any kind of deck, whether it's Oracle or Soul Space or whatever it is, the first thing you want to do is take every single card and just kind of like put it down like this, or touch it. You want to touch and feel every single card. You're going to go into a quiet space. Maybe you're going to light a candle or play some beautiful music, whatever raises the vibration for you. And you're going to touch every card and really think about every card. You can do that face down or face up, whatever feels right for you. The reason being is these are now your tarot cards, whether someone else purchased them for you or you purchased them for yourself. They're your cards. You have to put your energy in them. Even though you're going to be handing them to other people to shuffle and put their energy in, your energy has to be dominant. So you've got to make sure that you are putting your energy into every single card, touching them, spending time with them. Maybe you want to have that deck near you for a certain period of time, whatever it might be. Shuffle them, play with them, put your energy and essence all over these cards. Maybe even, let them be in your senses. Maybe you want to tap them onto your third eye and do some kind of a devotional or ritual where you feel connected to the energy of the cards. You could do that separately with each card. You can also, listen to them, right? Fan them out and listen to them. You can smell them. You can gaze at them, at the colors, whatever they are. All of those five sense repertoire is making the cards energetically combine with you, energetically fuse with you. You are putting your energy into the cards. The energy of the cards is coming back to you. They are now going to be your cards. The other thing is keeping your tarot deck sacred, your oracle cards sacred. And you can do the same thing if you have an oracle deck. Look at all the pictures, put your essence in those cards. I have a pouch that my cards always go in, whatever deck I'm using. This is my soul cards that I use often on the show. They're also in a pouch. My cards go in some kind of a sacred covering, and then they go in a box, a cedar lined box, a box that maybe has a crystal mounted on the top, granite box. Maybe you have a box that's made out of a certain stone or wood that you love, cedar or something. And all of my cards go in a box. Cards that I do not keep in a box, that I use rarely, are actually put in a special cabinet in my home, which is an altar cabinet, which has doors that close. Why? Because when people come into your space, especially if you're reading in a storefront or a shop, or you have a space that's your spiritual space, I have a designated space in my home for spiritual things. People come in and out. They have energy. If your cards are laying out on a table, they're going to absorb the energy of other people and other things. Your cards are sacred. You are connecting with the energy of a higher power when you use your cards. You are going into other realms when you use your cards. So always, always, always make sure that you have reverence and you are keeping your cards extremely sacred. Okay. So what's in the cards? So the traditional tarot card is made up of 22 cards that are called the major arcana. What are the major arcana? The major arcana are the cards in the deck that look like this. They have words on the bottom, like for instance, this is the hangman. They are also numbered from 1 to 22, 22 card being the fool card. And if you look in the tarot deck, the fool card, I'm going to pull it out here for us. The fool card is 0. Because the Fool card can be read as the very first card in a tarot pull or deck, or the last. Because the Fool card is the beginning of our journey and also symbolic of the end of our journey. It's a very, famous card of the person, looks like they're running away from home. They've got the little stick with their belongings tied on it and the little dog, and all surrounded in golden light, and he's about to step off a cliff. So we're embarking on our journey tentatively. What comes next, we don't know. The cards that follow in the arcana and in the tarot deck tell the story of that. It's also known as the last card in the deck because after we've gone through every phase of the arcana, well, now we have trust and we're going to step off the cliff willingly because we know we are safe, and supported by a wise and loving universe. So you can see how it's not just about a card pull and what this means. When you study tarot, there's a whole study and philosophy and story that goes with it. And when you really go into reading the cards, at first you're just going to study what does every card mean. There's 72 cards in a tarot deck. And then you're going to study what do these cards mean to me? And the way we do that, I read psychically, so it's a little bit different. There are readers who just read tarot as you would read. And for those readers, it becomes they really memorize the cards. They will study the color in the card, all of the symbolatry from, the dog and what kind of dog it is to what's in the person's hand to the sun being shining down on them, guiding them in light. There's so much in these cards. And, these original drawings have been around for a very hundreds and hundreds of years. So when you start to read tarot and you really start to study the card, don't just look up their meaning on a website or in a book or in an app. Really study, study, study. Like take one card for three days, and then after 3 days, do another card, and really study what is the imagery, what is it saying to me. And then when you start to read, it's a good idea to start to read with family and friends. Do some free readings. Allow people to get used to the way you read, and that will start to develop your intuition and the way that you become a reader, the things that you look for in a card, you'll start to see your own patterns. So when you start to do this, even if you've never had any psychic experience at all, you will start to have psychic experience. That is what the tarot does. That is the energy of the tarot. That is just the way it works. When you study tarot and you look at the history, there is no one on God's earth that can tell you why or how it works as a divination tool, but it does divine the future. It does know the past. It does tell you. They're just a very sacred tool. I can't explain it any other way. And as you start to use cards, look at cards, read with the cards, you will absolutely understand what I'm talking about, even if you don't understand it yet. So you get a deck, you start looking at the cards, really study the imagery, the idolatry, the symbolatry. That is really going to take you somewhere. So the card deck is 22 major arcana. The major arcana cards, when they get pulled in a spread or when we put them on a table, we're going to get to what a spread in this minute. The major arcana cards all are symbolic of a huge life change, a turning point in the karma of someone, and a symbol of really where they're at or what comes next. And the major arcana in a spread, when they come up, are the most important cards in the spread that you're reading, in the cards that are on the table. Then you have suits. You've got 4 suits in the tarot. You've got pentacles, which is, I'll show you a pentacle. This is a pentacle card. This is the 9 of Pentacles. Pentacle cards are the cards that have coins on them. Pentacles, there's 4 major suits, just like a regular deck of cards. Then the pentacles in tarot symbolize the material world, our material possessions, money, our work, and if our work's going to be, coming into fruition, it's the material. The real material in the world is the pentacles. Then we have cups. Cups are the emotion, the heart of our lives. When we see something come up, like this is the 9 of Cups. I'm pulling all 9 cards tonight. That's interesting. So there's also numbers on the cards, which you're going to also read numbers. So there's a lot to look at, right? Color, picture, imagery, number, the way they come out in the spread next to each other. So it takes a while. I would say probably a full year before you're really reading tarot, if not more. So cups are our heart and our emotion. When we see something like this, the 9 of Cups, this is a symbol of having everything we need, good luck, prosperity, abundance, and joy in our heart space and the things we desire in our values. The next suit is Wands. This card is the 3 of Wands. Wands are sticks. What does the wand suit symbolize in the tarot? Wands is movement. It's forward movement. It's energy. It's backward movement. The wands is movement. So you've got pentacles, which is our material possessions, our money, our values. Cups, which is our heart and our emotions. Wands, which is the physical movement of things. And then the 4th suit, which is swords. This is the 3 of Swords. Swords are turning points. They're activity. Swords are things that happen that are action, but unlike wands, when wands happen, it's usually a movement forward. Swords can be a little bit of negative energy. Swords are like a caution type of suit in the arcana. So Those are your four major suits. And then we have all the suits numbered, just like in a regular deck of cards, from aces, kings, queens. You have the king of pentacles, the queen of pentacles, the king of swords, the queen of swords. And that's how tarot works, like a regular deck of cards. So now you get a deck of tarot cards and maybe you want to read or for yourself or somebody. Couple of things that you do first. First thing that most people do is they light a candle so that we are in light, we're bathed in light. That's symbolic of having enough light to not only see and read the cards, but also be surrounded by divine light, just like protection, that we want to be able to be in the light of spirit and the light of love. And when we read, and that we're reading from messages that are healing and of love. The other thing some people do is put out some crystals. I often use crystals when I read because they give energy to me and they channel energy. And then usually what you'll see traditionally most tarot readers do is they will take the deck and they'll hand it to you on your side of the table and they'll say shuffle and then put in 3 piles. And then they'll ask you to take those 3 piles. They'll say shuffle like this, and then they'll say do 3 piles, right? And the person that you read for is called the querent. So they're going to ask you to do 3 piles, whatever way you want. And then they'll ask you, please put them back in order. Why does the tarot reader ask the querent, the person they're reading, that? They ask them to do that because you're putting your energy in the cards. By shuffling and by putting the decks like this and then putting them back, you're using your intuition. And when you spend your intuition in the cards, now your energy is going into the cards. Your energy is going in, your intuition's going in. So now the cards are my energy, they're my sacred cards, but because I've given them to the querent or the person I'm reading, and they've put some energy in, now I can read the tarot for you. And so when I'm reading on the phone or on the show and I'm pulling cards for people, I'm channeling the energy a little bit. So that's the first thing some people will do. Other people don't always cut. When I am reading on the show, I don't cut the deck into 3s. I don't do that for everyone. I don't really need to do that. I feel like the energy is still here. But I do shuffle the cards after every single reading or card pull or person you really want to do that. If you have oracle cards are cards that you use for a divination tool to divine energy, to divine the future. If you have oracle cards that are not tarot, it will be the same thing. You could do whatever you want. You could also, what some people do is they do a fan. It's hard with a deck with 72 cards, but they'll do a fan. Oftentimes I do this when I'm at home and I have to do something really quick for my day or just pull a card, and I'll fan the cards out and then I put my hand over them. And because I read energetically and I've developed my energy to be psychically let's say hot or ignited, I will go over the deck and like I'll feel a fluttering in my palm, and that will tell me what card to read. Oftentimes, readers and myself as well will feel heat or coolness, and we'll be like, "Oh, that's the card." I just psychically, through divination, can feel what card he wants me to pick. Like if I'm gonna pick a card for myself today. Let me have a card to tell me what my energy is. And for some reason, they're really leading me to this card right here. I'm going to pull that out, and it's the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords is new beginning. It's a baptism. It's change. It's having almost like a new lease on life. And some things have happened in the last couple of days with some family visiting where I feel so free and so at peace with my life. Um, so this was a really beautiful card for me to pull tonight. The Ace of Swords is really almost like we call it the baptism card, because you see how the crown coming in the sword is like, we're now crowning you, you've arrived, and these leaves that are flowing are symbolic of new energy, new growth coming in. And the mountains on the bottom of the card, if you think about it, the artist could have picked anything to put on the bottom of this card, but he put like mountains because this is a card of triumph. You've overcome that. All the white light is in the card. So you're going to read it also symbolically on the colors in the card. This beautiful hand, if you look around it, it looks like it's surrounded by clouds. So that's almost like the hand of God coming through the clouds, giving you this beautiful triumphant, you've arrived, you've completed this, it's beautiful, there's more coming. So that's how you read. You look at everything about that card, and when you do it enough and you do it over a period of years, you just know what you know. When you're first reading, a lot of people will doubt what they know, and they'll be like, okay, I think it's this, but I'm not sure if it's this. I'm not really, and that's ego. Your ego will come in and play with you. I did fairs for many years. A lot of the people watching and a lot of people who come to me for readings now came to me through psychic fairs. I don't do fairs anymore. I've kind of graduated from that. But the fairs were my classroom for really learning how to read. And I did them as an exercise so that I had to do a lot of readings, had to do a lot of readings at once, would maybe sometimes do 24, 25 readings in a day, 15-minute readings, and it taught me how to read. They were really my classroom. So that's kind of, the type of thing you want to do. Yeah, tells the story. That's what it's all in the reading. And my beautiful friend Elaine is saying, love my cards. They always impress me how accurate they are. Astrology, numerology, and the colors of the cards, also important. And Elaine also teaches tarot, also important. There's numerology in these cards because everything is numbered, like when eights come up or 18. So now that's the traditional way most people, use tarot. And I wanted to just kind of give you guys a little backstory and insight because I always pull cards on the show and I'm like, I want them to understand the reverence in the cards. It's not just like, I'm putting a towel on my head and I'm, working some carnival. This is a reverence. Those of us who are authentic readers, authentic oracles, authentic seers, authentically inspiring people who are doing this because we don't want to tell you, oh, you're going to win lotto next week, even though you'd love to hear that. We tell you what you need to do for your soul growth. That's what the tarot was created for, as a divination tool for you to guide your light and your life through a higher power. So, for those out there who think it's dark energy or witchcraft, not in my realm. So I don't know what other people do, but that's not in my realm. So when you begin to read, you're going to do what's called spreads. And the spreads typically can be anything. There's a very traditional spread that every reader started out with, and it's called the Celtic cross, and it's actually shaped like a cross. The middle card becomes the querent. I'll do a Celtic cross now for you guys, just so you can see what I'm referring to. So the Celtic cross, and I'm really gonna shuffle these. So the Celtic cross has been around forever. The middle card is supposed to be the querent, right? Or it could be for you if you're doing a reading for yourself. The middle card I got here was the Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles, well, I'll do it with the whole reading. Then we do the way I do the Celtic cross is we do a card on top, a card on the bottom. This is symbolic of future, past. Then we do a card here. This will show you what the issue is in the past. And then we do a card here, which shows you what the issue is going to be in the future. And then when I do the Celtic cross, I put a card here and a card here for the obstacle and the solution or what's coming next. These are really scary cards. Okay, so if I was reading this for myself, it would be, and a lot of times with the querent card, I don't do it this way, but a lot of people also put a card this way. I just don't read that way, but you can do that, and that's also a card for the querent. So I get the Five of Pentacles as the card of the person I'm reading for. Basically, in this reading is supposed to be me. The Five of Pentacles is a card of deprivation. And I'm taking this card as something in my past because this is a card that actually shows someone that they're supposed to be looking up. And if they looked up, they'd see all this beautiful light and abundance that they have through a higher power, God, people that are protective of them, or abundance in their life. But they can't see it because they're so steeped in deprivation. They're looking down like, woe is me, right? But if they looked up, they would see they have a refuge, they have a sanctuary, they have a safe place to go. And that's very true. And I recently went through something like that just recently, which was very personal. The next card is the Chariot, which is this card is actually telling the story of what happened to me recently in the last few weeks. The Chariot card is a card of moving your life forward. So the Chariot card is black and white, making a decision, moving forward. What's the decision? Which way you're going? It has a person in the chariot. And if you look, there's all golden light. They're surrounded like a king on the chariot. They have these castles behind them. And the Chariot card is a card of sometimes you're idle. The chariot's waiting for you to like get the horses going or put the car in drive. When I get this card in a reading, I always tell people you're idling at the curb. You need to make your decision to move the car forward. And then once you do that, sometimes you'll find beautiful energy. And that's this card because it did. I have two family members visiting me now. And when I moved my chariot forward and really went into a space of acceptance and joy and love and being able to see family members not as we were as children and as we were in the past, thanks to the advice my beautiful friend gave me. It brought us to a completely different energy. And there are three people of us together, and this is the Three of Pentacles. Pentacles is the material world, right? So success happens when you are in alignment, when you're in joy, when you have that Trinity. And this is three people almost giving, the one is almost giving a sermon to the two others, standing in his faith. They're in front of a church here in this card. So to me, this is putting your faith in the things that you can see when you move that forward. Very much this story is like the Fool card. And then I have the Hermit, which we always say the Hermit is either the future or the obstacle. In this is one of the obstacles. I was definitely going in my shell, which I didn't need to do. I needed to put myself out there and receive the love that was waiting for me. And then this card here is the Grief. I believe this is past. The card is really, although in this part of the spread, this is the obstacle that I had to overcome. And I did that and I overcame the grief. There was a very traumatic thing that happened. This is a literal card. When the Death and the Grief card and the Tower card are together, it's a literal grieving. It's a grieving period. It is literal death. And the controversy that happened between myself and these family members had a lot to do with my father's death, the literal death of my father, the grieving process, and my life really, really being reduced to the tower, everything falling apart. So when I look at this reading, it's so appropriate for me for the last few days, what lessons I learned personally from just allowing myself to have the openness of love and the acceptance of love in my life. And the tarot cards right here are telling me the story of this. So if I was reading for someone or reading even now for myself and I see a spread like this and I'm like, okay, um, this is definitely the story of what's been going on, right? So I want to know more. Let me pick two more cards and I'll put them at the top of the reading to show me exactly what I need. And my message is two major arcanas. And remember, we said major arcana cards are very, very important cards in a spread. Temperance and Strength. Nothing could be more appropriate in this situation for me without going into detail, can I tell you? Temperance and Strength. And that is what I just have been feeling these last few days. So I don't know how the tarot works like that, but it does. And when you start to use it, even if you just come for readings, you're going to see tarot is a great divination tool to use as a way to move your life forward and find out exactly, where you need to be, what's going on in your life. And you can use the tarot that way in a lot of different ways. Now, I read psychically, and this was the only other thing I wanted to say, and then I'm going to get to cards for everybody. So I read psychically. So when I read, I got to watch my time. So when I read psychically, it's because I've developed a dictionary with spirit as to what certain cards mean for me. How did that happen? It happened through trial and error. I did not wait for spirit to give me a meaning of what something is or what a sign means. I never do that. Anyone who's a gifted psychic will tell you the way we do it is we make the dictionary and bring spirit aboard that train. So, for instance, there's a card in the deck, which is the 18th card in the Arcana. It's the Strength card that I just got. And I shuffled, so it's not on top. And I constantly would pull that card when I was working the fairs. And every time I pulled that card, it had something to do with someone named Stephen or Stephanie. And my best friend in the world of 30 plus years passed away around that time. And his name was Stephen, and he was born on August 18th. So for me, the 18 card, whenever I pull that out of a deck, it's something to do with somebody named Stephen, Stephanie, some derivative of that word. And 9 times out of 10, it will be absolutely 1,000% accurate. That's how you develop your dictionary. It's spirit speaks to you and then you assign it. There are other cards in the deck that mean something to me here. I just shuffled and it came right up. It's the 8 card, the Strength card. It's the Lion. So Stephen was born at 8/18. So when I see this card, I absolutely think about it's probably something to do with a Leo, a Stephen, something like that. And then the card 18, when I see that, see if I can find it for you guys. Same thing. I know that's what it means. It has something to do with it. And usually I can piece it together by something, the way the cards are on the table and in the spread. So it's really important to study the tarot for what the cards actually mean and their literal meanings, and then make sure that you have the meanings that they mean to you. And sometimes when I read someone who is a reader, they will, the moon card here is number 18. And when I see that number 18, especially if something comes in 818, I'm like, okay, so who's Steven? And they'll be like, oh my God, that's why I came here, because I'm in a relationship with this guy, Steven. And that's what happens. And so when I read a reader a lot of times and I tell them what cards mean, like, that's not what that card means. And I'm like, that's what it means to me, because I read psychically. So that's the spiel about the cards. So I would definitely get into it. It's not as complicated as it sounds. The best thing you can do is just get a deck. I had John Mineta on the show not too long ago, and he spoke about a deck of angel cards he just went out and bought. And every day he would just pull a card, and you start to, that's how you develop your intuition. You don't need psychic development classes. They're not really going to help you. What will help you maybe is being in the room with other psychics, because the energy's off the charts. Like when I used to do the fairs, the readers and I would be like, wow, we're all like just like on fire today, because we were feeding off each other, you know. But I think private readings are always best, because you're not interrupted by other energy in the room. It's more private. The reader is really zeroed in on you and your energy. It's going to be more accurate. But just get a deck, any deck, tarot or angelic or whatever. I have like probably 100 decks in my house. And that's how I learned. I would just learn on the decks. So let me go to some comments, see what you guys are saying on here. Wow, Marie Laverme says, powerful and true. Thanks for sharing 818 and Stephen. There you go. So, yes. So, Card of Change also. Some people are still doing the fairs. It's such a good teacher. I just don't do fairs because I have nothing against them. I think they're great. I just think that sleep with them. Yeah, sleep with the cards. Some people put them under the pillow. Definitely. I sleep with crystals under my pillow, so I don't have cards under. But I will tell you, like, the fairs were good for me because it also I saw what other readers did, and I kind of got ideas, you know, like, oh wow, that's how you do that. It was good for me. But also, just as an aside, I'll tell you a quick story. Um, I go to a fair one time and I was, you know, I guess reading for a couple of years or so, and I was a good reader. Like I also, not to get into negative energy, but I also stopped doing fairs because I was very popular. All right. I didn't develop anything to make myself popular. I just was a very accurate reader, and people would want me. And you know, you have like a bunch of readers at a fair. And so like there would be people waiting in the lobby, like 4 or 5 deep for me. They're like, no, I want my reading with Georgia Rose. And the other readers wouldn't have anybody. And so they would get very upset. Like at the end of the day, I had the most readings all the time and I was exhausted, but like I just read. I wasn't doing anything to cultivate that. I was just reading accurately, not to take anything away from the other readers, but it was just people wanted to come and see me. It was just very, you know, that way. And that's one of the reasons why I stopped doing the fairs, because I felt like there was some negative energy in the room directed at me through no fault of my own. I was doing what I was there to do. So I kind of had to like segue out of that. I'm still friends with quite a few of the girls that I did read with who are really wonderful, wonderful people. And there's other people I'm not friends with anymore. I actually had one person when I went to use the ladies' room, they used to give us tickets. Like when the person came and sat down at your table, you took the ticket and that was the reading. At the end of the day, we would get paid per reading and we'd hand in all our tickets and the person running the thing would pay us. And I went to the ladies' room on a break and I came back and there was a woman, one of the other readers had dumped out my little basket and was counting all my tickets. Like, what? We're all supposed to be in here in a great environment in love. So that's when I was like, yeah, I don't really think I need to be here anymore. No offense, you know? So since then, I don't see that particular fair in the circuit anymore. I think COVID rearranged a lot of things, but I just wanted to tell you that story. And that's also a story why you need to go to the authentic. You need to go to the real deal. You know, when you choose the people that you are getting divination from, advice from, make sure they have great, great energy. All right. So I'm so about that. All right. Yeah, it was a little funky, I gotta say. Yeah, you know, I'm just like, how can you be jealous of that? I don't know. But anyway, I probably shouldn't have told that story, but I just wanted to give you guys the inside scoop. Um, so went through the Major Arcana. Also, when you are doing a reading or you're just working with your cards, and it's a good idea, like every once in a while, especially after I use the cards on the show, I'll kind of light a candle the next day or when I go home in the evening, and I'll spend some time with my cards. Your cards become an extension of you. They become the embodiment of your work when you're reading cards. I have a lot of other tools that are the embodiment of my work as well. But your cards are very sacred, very special. So after you do a lot of readings, or if I bring them out of the house like I do tonight, I'll spend some time with my cards and just put my energy back in. I'll maybe do my own reading. I'll, really, be grateful for them. I'll tell them, listen, cards, I'm really grateful. You did a beautiful job with me. You really, were in transmutation with me this evening. And, you want to give a shout out to your cards. So thank you, Anne. I appreciate that. So I'm going to read. I'll pull a card for Anne first because she's been such a loyal fan. I love you. and, and yeah, and, I also tell that story because, um, I just want you to know when you do pick your readers, like, it's easy. It's like I always say, people are like, oh, I thought that person liked me. And I'm like, has anyone ever gone up to you and said they don't like you? Like, people don't tell you things like that. So be careful and always go by your intuition. So Michelle, the reason why I have 100 decks of cards in my house is actually by default. I don't really buy too many cards anymore. But just over the years, in the beginning of the last decade, in the 2010s, I used to be buying decks constantly. I would just see a deck, it would call to me, and I just, I would read with that deck for a while. A lot of times, and you'll see on the show in the weeks to come, I'm going to start pulling other decks to show you guys how you would read from different decks. I have a lot of Doreen Virtue decks. Now they're kind of out of circulation. She kind of, jumped the shark a little bit and decided she's not an oracle anymore. Long story short. I have all kinds of decks. I have decks that are out of print now. I have the Lover's Oracle deck, which is a gorgeous deck for reading relationships. Very hard to find. I think that was like a $400 deck when I bought it. So it's like gaming. It's like people who collect games. It's just I always, for wherever I was in my growth, there was a deck that aligned with my energy. When all was said and done, the regular old-fashioned standard tarot deck was the one that I use. And you always want to use your cards in a positive way, never a negative way. They're an extension of you. It's just like anything else. Crystal's the same thing, right? So, okay, so I am going to, yeah, Carrie, it was kind of weird, but I don't know. I think, I always take things like that. Like I try not to dwell on the negative and I just say to myself, okay, well, Spirit's showing me the contract here is done. I'm going to move on now. And I'm just going to kind of be in flow and wait till whatever it is, wherever I'm supposed to be materializes in this lifetime. And you have to have that flow because I really believe that when one thing ends, it's because it's supposed to, whatever that may be. We're all here impermanently. That's for darn sure. So I'm going to pick a card for Anne Rothney, and then I'll pick as many as I can. All right. Yeah, and to this day, that person that did that to me at the fair is like, will still once in a while reach out to me or something, or ask me to support something. And I don't say anything. I just don't respond. But I have to say, I always use this expression: don't burn down the bridge to my house and then expect to come to dinner. So, because it's gone. I say that with love. Bobby's kind of laughing at me. Okay, Anne, here's your card. I am so wordy today. Can you tell? Damn, this card comes out and you saw me cut the deck and everything this time. It's the Five of Pentacles. So, Anne, this is a reminder that when we're in feel deprivation or we feel a little deprived or we feel down or low energy about something, that if we look up, we're going to see all the beautiful abundance that is there waiting for us from our higher power. So take that with you and trust wherever you are that beautiful and abundance is coming. Beautiful things and abundance is coming for you. Okay. I knew you would, Janine. You're such a Capricorn. You're gonna love that say. You're gonna use it now. We're gonna say that. I think they burned down the bridge. Um, yeah, I think I read it somewhere years ago and it just stuck with me. I was like, yeah, they burned down the bridge to my house and now they want to like come over. I'm gonna pull a card for Carrie Ann. Okay. All right, Carrie. I'm gonna cut it again. And if the Five of Pentacles comes up again, I'm gonna be like, whoa. No, we got the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. So female around you. This card doesn't always mean this, but for some reason when I picked it, I got very strongly. Carrie, I feel like there's a female energy around you that you're trusting and you may want to pull back a little bit. Just let things flow and see how this pans out. Like I feel like there's a female energy around you that you're very trusting and you need to pull back because there's more information that's going to come to let you know whether you should be trusting this person or not. I'm not going to say either way. what they're showing me is that you need to look for the signs and just kind of calmly weigh and measure this. All right. They're showing me like weigh and measure this. All right. I think I have a feeling you know who that is. I don't know, but that's just coming in. Yeah, it came in so strongly. And that card is usually a very nurturing card for me, but it came in reverse. And as soon as it started, it's like whoosh, it like came through one side of my head and out the other. Don't trust somebody until you know more. All right. Intuition, baby. You know that works that way. And Joanna Maya, I'm going to pull a card for you. All right. Going to send some hearts up to everybody. And please share the show, comment. Really trying to get that YouTube channel to have 1,000 subscribers. I need 1,000 subscribers so I could do my shirts over there and everything else. Trying, no offense to anybody. I'm trying to get off FB. So Bobby is working on another portion of our studio tonight where we're going to be doing like the radio shows. And it looks amazing. Amazing. Gotta tell you. Really does. Really amazing. He's a very talented guy. Okay, who am I pulling for now? I'm pulling for Joanne. Got to just link with her energy a little bit. Joanne, this is not going to be a reading about health. I'm feeling like it's not about health. So just take that with you. Tell me to pull this card and this card. We got the Queen of Pentacles again. Yeah, and Ace of Swords, new beginning. Joanne, you need to move away from a feminine energy in your life. There's a new beginning coming for you. You're actually hastening it. You're pushing it away. You got to let something go, and it's to do with the female energy in your life. Let that go because there's something new that wants to come in, and it's being blocked by not letting the female energy go. Thank you, Anne. Your love. So, Joanna Maya, take that with you. Whoever is in the house, so metaphorically, you want to move away from that. All right. Melissa Capuano. Love that name. Melissa, I am going to pull a card for you. Okay. And also, you guys, a while back, I had Marianne Misano on the show. She did a one-woman show, Ajda, and she just had that go on broadcast. What is it? What channel is it? Tubi. If you subscribe to Tubi on your Fire TVs or your TVs or wherever or your devices, please watch Ajda with Marianne Misano. It's a really awesome, awesome play that she did. And Bobby helped produce that. And it's been winning awards all over creation, near and far, here and overseas. All right, Melissa. King of Wands. You got a male Leo energy around you. And this is like coming in hot. This male energy is somebody who's around you, and I feel like they have feelings for you that have been unrevealed so far. So if you're crushing on anybody, just know it's coming to a head. All right. That's our show for tonight, everybody. I want to thank you all. Please, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do that. I'm going to be doing midweek broadcasts over there as well as our Soul Space. And please subscribe to Zenkuda on Facebook and Zenkuda Official on Instagram. Love you all. If you have something you'd like the next show to be about, put it in the comments. I want to answer your questions and talk to you guys about everything and anything that you need in order to empower your soul. Thanks so much. And thanks for joining me in the Soul Space. I'll see you next Monday night at 7 o'clock. Tell all your friends. Bye-bye.